Hello there. Let us look at our next lecture on functions and program structure, lecture 4. We looked at indirect communication using shared memory. So now we will try and look at direct communication. So for that, I will write two functions, alright, which I will call it as int x comma int y. One more function called f3, which is int x comma int y. Alright, so let me display the value of printf. The value passed is %d. We'll say x equal to %d, which is x. Then we will look at here value passed. What we'll see what is the value of y that is passed, that is y. Okay. Then we will copy the same code here, control C, control V. So control C, control V. I'll call this as f3. I'll again have x and y here. So before that, I'll say this is function f2. Let me know that function f, this is from function f2. This is function f2. Okay, with int and int or x and y parameters. So this is our one more function f3. Okay, this is one more function f3. All right, so then we will not have this. So what's the easy way of writing prototypes? The easy way of writing prototype is just copy this header of the function, just copy this header of the function, control C, control V, and you can give int x and y, or you can avoid this. This is also fine. Then we can take one more, copy this header f3. I can remove this. Easier way to put the prototypes. It's a good habit to put the prototypes. Okay, so this returns say 200 and this returns say 500. Okay, now what we will do is whenever inside this function, whenever this function is called by some other function, it will return 500. Whenever this function call, it will return 200. Okay, so first what I will do is I will do the direct communication from main. I will do the direct communication from main because main is also a function. So through main I will call f2 and I'll give the value as 1 and 1. I'll call f3, I'll give the value as 2 and 2. So this is my direct communication with the function. So what it returns is, it returns 200, it returns 300. So if at all I want to find out what it returns, f2 returns, okay, %d, because it returns an integer, so I'll give %d for that. Then I will see if f3 is called, what it returns. So f3 returns, we will see what it returns. This is f3, this is 2 and 2. Okay, now gcc -o output 1.c. Okay, not bad. So we are getting lot of terminating characters, so we'll just see if there was any mistake. Yeah, there are a lot of mistakes. So here I have to close this quote. This again we did the copy paste, we have to close this quote. Hope that's what the error is all about. We can debug the error as well, don't worry. So we will, okay, this is fine. Output. Alright, so if you see, this is function f2. The value passed is x is 1, y is 1, and f2 is 2, it returns 200, so this returns 500 regardless of the value is passed. So this is direct communication. Now suppose, can f3 call f2? Yes, possible. So let f3 call f2 like this. I will just call f2 by giving I will now give x comma y. Alright, so before I give x comma y, let me see if I can do something like this: x equal to 10 and y equal to 10. Okay, that may be our mathematical understanding. Does this actually work? Okay, so alright, so it has not given any error. Now if you see, I have given, when I call f3, this is function f3 which called f2 using x and y 10 and 10. See, I gave x equal to 10, y equal to 10, and that's how it got continued there. See, okay. So now our question is, after I pass the value of x and y as 10, did anything happen to the value of x and y? Okay, so this is my, now this x and y is, let me just make it as 10, 100 and 100 to just avoid confusion. So if you now see here, the output here, now I call f2 returns, fine, I am calling f2 returns here with 1 and 1, so it calls f2 and returns 200. But when I call f3, this is function f3, it will go to function f2 here. From here it will go to function f2 because I have called f2, correct? So when I have called f2, I have given the value of x and y as 100 and 100. Then when I have called this function, the function, it has gone inside the function, and here it has displayed the value of x and y, which is the x and y of f2. And when I came out again after I called the function, I printed the value of x and y, which is this x and y, which now indicates that when I pass this parameter of x and y to this function, the value of x and y remained intact. Okay, so that we call it as pass by value, which means if a callee function does not modify the parameters of the caller function, then it is called pass by value. So what is pass by? If it is changing the value, we call it as pass by reference. Callee function does modify the parameters of the caller function. Okay, the parameters of the caller function are called actual parameters, or you can also call it as arguments. Actual parameters or actual arguments. The parameters of the callee function are called formal parameters. You can also call them as formal arguments. So if So one way of looking at pass by value and pass by reference, I can again make it reiterate. I could change pass by value if the callee function does not modify the values of, does not modify the actual parameters of the caller function, does modify the actual parameters. Okay, so what we could look at is the formal for parameters remain local to the callee function. Okay. The actual parameters remain local to the caller function. So when I say remain local to the caller function, if the caller function is passing a global variable, then it doesn't remain local. So the idea is if you pass the parameter, it remains local to the callee function. The name, the label remains local to the callee function. Okay. When I say the actual parameter remain local to the caller function, which means that if the caller function is calling a global variable instead of its local variable, then it calls for indirect communication, because the other function also can access the caller function. Okay, but again, because since it is passed by value, even the global variables cannot be changed. Means, what does that actually mean? For example, let me take a shared variable now. I'll call SV is say 900. Now suppose instead of y I will pass SV, or instead of y I will pass SV here. Okay, and then I will print say SV. So what I will do inside this function, I know y is SV, so whenever this function gets called, I will before coming to this, I will change the value of y to say minus 900. Okay, so my value is 900 and it should become negative if at all it is changing. So now let me save this code and run this code. If you see, the value that is passed remain 900, it did not change. See, what did I do? It called, when this function was called, it called this function with the value of x and y to be 2 and 2. So my x I made it as 100. Now I gave SV, which F2 also has access, please remember, right? Okay, was assigned to y, but y is local to F2. So when I do y equal to minus 900, it doesn't make SV as 900, it makes y as 900. Since all local variables get destroyed when it comes out of the function scope, the value of x is minus 900. It has not modified the value of SV, so that's how it's called pass by value. Okay, by default, all parameter passing mechanism in C is pass by value, unless you explicitly specify as pass by reference. Okay, remaining in the subsequent lectures. Thank you very much.